Hagoshi to yate hepene ade nada isma sangi to ade nada so kizigi. There was um this is one of the stories that I'm just gonna be on recording because there's some days that we're gonna be missing out during holidays even so anyway you'll see later on Hajish Hajoshi Ben Kithodon. Anyway, this session today, we're going to talk about uh, the settling of the Indian and Savakai Nehalkagi. And I know I've seen some people asking me if I can do it both in English and Navajo. But I'll try and do that. I'll try and go back and forth on these stories if I can. And sometimes I get carried away and just start talking Navajo. And whenever I do remember, I go back to English. So good morning again if you're out there listening today. Today is the call of groundbreaking. Groundbreaking. Adole الشتات نتو تحبي adole إندا نيسان لنتخات إيدا إني ده هوان أجلي كتو كيا دا إيه بخاج دا نجنة كتا الشتات نسه ديغو جلدان دا كتو سينكمان بيغان دا تو نسيغو دا كمدا الشتات جلدة تو وان تو نسيغي دا نخد Ecco, è che shinki, ecco, e quella sneto le flici, hachine betat, ecco, è che witness di haj age the sneto, chin hatsis keya, yel hadet, ado e ne halkeja hatus ke edi jen ke wit enigi jo di kan hilfo kali ishibinna koje di silni echo. The story goes that when the emergence happened to this fourth final world, which is the fourth world, and that is why everything is for in our life from here on. I could imagine that if we go to the fifth world, things will be all five. But in this world, this where we're at is four, in this white world. This is where the little critter had a little battle with some monsters to claim the land that we're living on here. Chintrasiske was the monster. So from here on, probably so many thousands of years, I'm talking about settling on this earth, on this land, the new land that he came upon, the white world, which we live on today. The first thing that happened was the water receded back and land started coming out, but the ground wasn't settled, and it's not permanent yet. It's kind of a slushy, muddy place, I believe. That's how they describe it. And when the turkey came up and he scattered all the seeds, and that's when all the vegetation started growing. And there was a particular type of vegetation that was planted first, the four sacred plant, and then also additional to that. Kojashin hata is nado daineto nan setene shin ligo belasita da hasni don ligo shin niki nta is na jo hot a e ba jel nan daine ako nan se hot esen de jo ka hashita ego de bishya hot ego akhondi da hotla to khat e de Rajada Kenajit lego to idale ko iship ko nihits isto da hot ejen di eben nashishi bahanne hat eda keya wa khahan ko kha ke jit ego nezad na hanji shashi bijin di to da khonshi khaketlol khalle to khon khalchin da bakha doesn't say to what's so keda ko khonni khat edan last ku izan hedi ko agin ya da ho ba ko agi ke wit ko betsa da di kha ge yo ba chaina hot ashi ya ne ko anda izna hata shi ya hot da hot and this is the time when I always bring up family foundation of our own people. We always attach to the Mother Earth and Father Sky, and wherever we attach to an area or geological place where we like to live, we always start what we need there, whatever will keep us going. In those days, back in the days when there was no electricity, there's no water. The resources were mostly animals, sheep and goats and horses, mainly those, and some of them had cows, yes, and then the cornfield that we had. And whenever you want to move to a new place, that's where you settle, and that's where you start building your life, and everything revolves on there. That's your foundation, and it's really hard to leave that place in the future when something does happen. A good example happened to our people is the Hopi Navajo relocation. A lot of our people left there, was removed from their area and resided somewhere else where they didn't know the place. And a lot of our elderlies, they couldn't live that life anymore, and most of them went into a lot of anxiety and hardship and grieving and stuff like that. And most of them suffered through their old age. So that's what we're talking about today. And Hajine beta the hastel do ndaisna njonogo ya chil nan set as nda handa hasna ado ya the kushishin la da shin na khe akoko ko egi ya ati ya bakhato ba ati dan zeniki ya kashidat ishi hajo heti del in leder also kenna sling de kote hayet de hun khasate hats isbi de han zakes khaches lade eyat ato hajo kenna hat leda akoko akhot ele khat e de eya khani ahota eya do akote jashi I'm sorry khatninde ko ek en hatle de khashit il khayet de hatjes da de do hajoda tihot int goda do da khat ade ya do hajo in ajle goda khat ada abkhijnane da do da khaji aj ado da khida kida khat ada saat choda bkhijin sis nel goda khat ada na natio ado قد is bad hage iliada ben is dos al ako doch hand dort alla doch hand stot alla ako alchenen de wat alchenen ya tkhijil goda ben jil ako ko ban gishi ben tkhiji ben ya ako de bakhato ba adi khanle de khas dalen la ati abje danes kedo ko ege khas de khalid alchedo nisha no shimpa khuin. The story goes that when they emerged from the yellow world, remember there's a male and female that were separated at that time. And when they came up to this world, yes, there was a recompromising of whatever happened there, and there was a I'm sorry and all that happened in verbal, and most of them, they still have that anxiety inside them that they're still hurting. So the teaching, this is where the teaching comes from, is from here. This is what already this already happened back then. That if you hurt somebody, you know, you're always going to have that hurt of anxiety inside you, and never will go away unless some type of a ceremony, some type of prayer will be done for you, and to bring that back together, reunite. So this is still going on, even though we said that the male and female reconnected and reunite at the bottom, but in mentally, spiritually, some of them are still hurting here. They're still grieving. So they're trying to figure out how to fix that. That's where they're at this time. That's when they decided to ran into some diagnostic way of how to find out things. And there was 4 different ways of diagnosing what the problem is, and then find a solution to that, and then remedy it with whatever needs to be done. And there was 4 of them. The first one was the hand trembling way. The air people said this is how it's going to be done. And we have that today. There's some people that are gifted in that way, that they use their hand. They put corn pollen on their hand, and then they either sing a song or prayer, and a lot of the things that would come to them themselves. The second one was the crystal gazing. The crystal gazing was a gift that was given to us by the crystal people, the fire people, and you could go and look into the crystal and see things through there and find a solution, and then from there find a remedy and find a ceremony that needs to be done, the particular kind of ceremonies. And then the third one was the hearing, way of diagnosing, and that came from the firefly. We call that fire. I don't know if they would call it a firefly. I don't have a name for that in English, but I always call it either a firefly or a dragonfly. If it's not there, and also the coyotes way of hearing things. That coyote can hear a lot of things in his way, so they team up, and they said this is another way of diagnosing something, a kind of a problem, and then finding the solution and remedy and ceremony that was done. So that was the third one. The first one that that was brought up was the removing of object from a body. That's get the people that use their mouth to suck up things from people's body and whatever is affecting them. And some people are gifted in that way, and that's been carried on from generation to generation. And that is one of our gift, and of the people that have these abilities too. And these are the four kind of diagnosis that was put at first when they were trying to figure out what to do. And they used some of that, and that's how they found out what to do next. needs is nihin insect case at the Titalian at the Big Kandi Kayen. Red Archador Nil Ejo Benina Tinley with the Heki Niliajan a Labena, the kid it Hadatin Anal Ego. Ados Sandos and the Bolt Capo. What are a Shabbat I test Ado, the G de la what I and Dasha 18 what I add on the Ben Behoyo Zito, Red I or Nito Ado in Hanga. Zeta or Nishito Hit or Nishito sheep in the cargo tinley. A co tinley is no a in Johata a Bahajin and the Shachaya. Ada no a Joshli, the fins the Halon a edashinat in a Gilam Master Dashin, a tinley. A cautious Chaya, a 18 United ko enlch den epidet enlch khat ashin dad nishjogta tinle no ya nahne boshnali ine ko she adon de bos ada ado kun na ke kun ege ya test in the nan ya test in sagat den edan le do content edan dan gishi gaat ashin in da an hito ben he hazen do lik en gaat ada de bech in auto ben he hazen do be il gaat jogot ashin test in analia jo bikha gaat ashin da hazani be hazen no da ne do da ya be ben da haga kot asha belak dasia ida ko sagat din ben khagune aron da East Nana Legend, East Legend, the Haja Estate Sazan Shinhan Ansha, Harelia, but Geshe, don't so Liego, but Legend, a continent that's all Liego. I don't my get like it is good, or Ashing late for the East the خد خامشة بعد أو بعد حاجتنا كوي إنسان خلون لجنة كو كديجي ده دن دولا خد إندا كو بعد دي خشي دي إنسان نانا تيجو نيجي دي أتصون صدي هكي أدولة آخاين نيش واللي هكي دي نحيطو تانو تسي جنة شيء يس بدأت هانشت أخذ إكو إيشابش بيدا هزن لو أبدا هدس أندو إتاشي إداليا كتيتيكو إذا اللانج بين هغا الليا كأيكي خازنا لو خاز ديل جندا إنكو كأيكي بنينا بني يهكي خاد هذا هدوس اللي هجو تشيدو النيش يكون ليده العادة دلنجو خجوبان سزكيسكو إياه إذا هنشين تحسات إيه خد كوين نصلان لي وتشيتون لي كوز سبين جداكو خنسكيس إذا الله تبحث كي خنة قال إن دا إيه خصتي دي كوي خسبير دا زوليا وانتاهو أهو خنة تزدو يات تهجوبت بنينا دي خنة كي خلون داكو بدانستان ko tsazahat ade khashin zagot adode da be kitchit da if you get into an accident aro do baji yon neta ado khanaso da ya banji yelase aronda bekin benina da khake il chile ko do ya shona benina bek khanjaga ko khanne khan sekhi ko Ishin kota zayen shi benina ko bana tingo Ishin kota ado da tita hajil yayen da shi said ati ike khanda khaga koje khas del ba khanda wa adi spanshe atses tidan da adon sashi heda del chito nchaba khan wa adi dan nchaba khan chaba adi dan khashida ishin it ado da so وقد أبعد حجلنا أكو خالد أعرض نلا نشي ديشي بكها عند أهوزن ako ho wan sa do li se ho wan bi do be hosen do li hato ni chi bi ko ya se ho wan ba kai wo diego elia ya lin gi da des ago aliago a ti den nilchitlik sonsoriagi ado do tligido ado litsogido tligi jo beta di laashi ade dahana dahasia alchi des alia ako ado nda kwegi ya abe dahadon nilida alsobe hawan alsisonit ado liha ashoche tingo lia nana na reji ko do nana sani do nana lia hot ego hilt ego nre naho shata asho isani biginita naho koshibo hastui panita akwe ya hait nana no kont na bayana tidon le tin le do de na da de kitchi bikyako o it do johana johota kochabana hanne. So the solution came from the diagnosis of 4 ways of diagnosis, and told them that they had to build a home, a structure to reconsider everything and reunite from that, and that will be the answer. Because there's still, people are still hurting from what happened in the yellow world, the male and the female. And they started building this structure. They built a structure on the north side using the air people, air spirit, the white, the yellow, the blue, and the black, and they make that a structure like a teepee, all four together, and making the doorway to the east on the north side. And then there's another one that was built on the south side. And right when the emergent place, so put it on the south and the north side. That's what I'm talking about. And when they built that, they built the same way, one for the female, one for the male, and that's when they went back and what else needs to be done, and they went back to the fire to the diagnosis people, and they told them that they need fire. And the first thing that they came to and said, how do we make fire? And there's a few types of way to make fire. One is from the sky, from the sun. And I don't know how they did that, but they took the fire from the sun to build a fire. Another way they did was putting 2 rocks together and smashing together and making sparks. And then another one was using a stick to make a fire. And those were discovered at that time how to make fire. And that's how they built a fire. Johana Bishantin bed and Diniki back Alia Churchin Ado old Kanto Bella the Mistran did old Kan bed Ido bed back Nana had Kalu Yego sto Sehal Kalu Yego Adon that for it to J adon de my quenz equation yana alnadi quag the orliedo his yai lagen. I touche orliedo no. I want bakai orliedo na ye one no yozo. What are a battle ya beyond a do couplet dol jetta. It settled no store, a be in no so I get settled no store. No, a step well no. هذا شديد كون سأدن همشي نليد زلنا أتسدنا أكو كون أنا بتخا هذا الناس كيدا حت دي بتصوت الشيء دنا دارية خاط إيش أولية نوشي جو أنت بتستخها جو بتا دنا بتصوت الشيء نو يزين أكو عادة بتسافر صنعت أنا ده هيدورشي Ebikeko ado ibet nosto. Johotza adonda chishanana chishihad. Nugit hunlen kuya chishatla adolhi. Junde cha hasti jo cha adet chizana cha ibet dolce. Akoti adonda kon akon aliaye khad kon don so. Kon. And the Toto Naka, a lot at one Lenagoyan, away we are, Tots are at the Hosan that is kind of a Kaban steen or the ego, a she betroth at the Kaban steen best, put out of the usual Kaban steen bit sick. A Sanago Toko, Yojigo, a what I stay Baba. Ko ade bitsan na da hascha ko chizdo se nda ko do thukasni bet do je do shin da a ko kwage big ko sanda ya la ko ado ko ya nascha bedaden ba inglische dan long hon bedaden ba joden tras bedaden ba ni de daden ba dalia Aronda kone hansekisto han hakaldo hatto beyinda da halonda adonde tloje on lego be na ye keko on lida sen di de hovan beyin elia la kwagel sanche ako trache beyin bolgela di jide akod asati beyin o beyin ba aliadi o kain alchin is ana beyidon da shi edi as adol da ye sko da da ji be en chongon sa kis jo ko ege ya on chongon nada ti da di ho chonje khanne gi label belveskita des di in da de kasta di hegi da khanset ala betsalia kot abo chota da chen khatne khne he bo chonje khanset ala yed hasan da chenova da kotne di chal khel biyonne jo kunne daten ba khalon tratchans da do ho ti de na chal khel da konda bahadat ist adon da hakri be da cheno da da ste aleko ado hot gil doktor nen studo hunne khastosni jot tratshe bigit ya ado da dan choye elsko dan da gb ado ado da ken hasli ya de go ayat eko da na de jot di kwagi hawa bakai be yegi but tratshe ni ane be yeko even nash khashnele so the so the diagnostic people the diagnostic way of people that have these gifts told them that you have to build these two structures and the two structures will build like I said and they call this Trache the sweat lodge that was the first structure that was built on at this time and they call it the male Hogan. They call it the enemy way and the protection way of a structure. And they build a fire they first they were looking for how to do all these things, and they kept referring back to the Gnostic people, saying how should we do it. And they finally this was told by the holy people that they had to find some rocks and heat it up and put it inside to sweat out all the bad stuff, the negative energy, the negative evil stuff that has been embedded to them for many years, to straighten out and to cleanse themselves, to purify themselves from any evil or anything. And they found the rocks, and there's the water and the wood, and there's a particular animals that was included in this. The wood, they got it from the beaver, and then the rocks, they got it from the animal that lives in the mountains, some sheep, mountain goats, mountain sheep and goats, the male and female. And then the fire from the firefly, or whatever they call it, and the water, when they got the water from the stream, from the otter family, the female otter, and the sister otter, and so on, and then the blanket that covers the doorway, it came from the owl, the white and the black, the blue and yellow owl. I believe that was at the time there was many of that. So they built the structure, and they were given this instruction how to run this sweat lodge. So, and that was the first time that they ever did that, and they call it Tache, sweat lodge, sweat house. And it was made out, like I said, made out of the floor, air, and then also the dirt and stuff like that. So that's where they purify themselves. That's where they whatever evil was inside, they did that to both sides, the male and female. So everything became okay, all right, and they beginning to wander around and start thinking about other things that's happening. And that's when they decided that wow, we need to settle a lot of things around here and on this earth. And the first thing they talked about is the sky. How we're gonna settle this, and they went and told the sun that you need to rise from the east and then settle to the west, and that's how it was set. And then the moon, the way every 30 days it'll change itself, and the stars, that's when the stars were settling, and then there's a little story about the coyote where they were trying to fix all these stars, and real good random stars, sending them one by one, and trying to fix this, and all the holy people sitting and setting these stars and moon and galaxy. And the coyote got frustrated, and he says, what is taking so long trying to fix these stars? Why can't you just hurry up and do it? And he got frustrated, and he just picked up the whole thing and just threw it up in the sky, and scattered all over the sky. And that's how our stars was formed. And that is part of the story. That's the coyote story. Anyway, they're beginning to fix the sky, the universe, how it is today, and how it became a natural law that it has to stay the same as it is. And one particular star that they picked was the North Star. They set it over on the north side. He said, "This is our fire for Navajo people, and this is give us direction. And this is the center of we believe that that's the center of the universe, and everything revolves around that. And that will tell you when the season will change, and the things will come upon you. If bad things ever happens in the future, that star will tell you what's going to go on." So eolia yashni ne yan kolie upata e nilia. And believe that in the black world when the universe started, that was the same star that was placed there in the middle, and that's the middle of our Hokan. If you look at it that way, fire is always the middle of our Hokan, and that's where we'll talk about that later next session about the Hokan. Anyway, that's was placed, and then the ground was placed. Remember, there was from the yellow world, the first man grabbed some dirt from all the sacred mountains, and he tied it up together, and that's what he carried all the way up to this world, this white world. And here, this is the time he replanted it in all four directions, and they named them Kode Zel Lede Betas One no Sode Zel Nahasha Ade Zel Eleja Ade Han Kode Belchaz Del Do Kode Zel Kedo Ya Altsasti Ha Ashonaya Ade Sisnachin Hutanin Ado Be Azando Nishodoni Ado the Quid Shiba and Asa Tabanashne Jishbaran Nana Liedo Quagi Yoski Ya Bes Kado Quevanije Junago Hadet Quagi Elia Ahot Ado Shata Ashur Nayi Glasso Zilnani Ado Doko Sleep. The Bensa Jot Ila Atena Data na Kina Yitnil in rated Atin the Banahan so Zesto Chol Jot Sotis. That's now the Hito Chol Javanani Day in rated Atin the Bana edition. A cot session das not Ebit Bear Hoseneko. Yeah, just Niki and San Bakai Hosen, though in I can lead that Isabel's Annie Elia Dona do hat ade in hat nella do hat ade islana shodo hat ade in knowledge ebik egi bedas betsas ni egi kaji nesel egi egi hat zaldas nel ako di bash egi kaji ne hatnegi ya do hush ida do bada hachil now in the farming no what you egi at the hot agent Adaha Ayisaha Hajine Oliagin and the net at the Holier or the Ajan Nayodaham Shido Ishila O Badaja Ade a Ada Zigo Sanso to this ego a think on Janosan Hiti Kote Loop area, do Winslow area, Kehuit, in the Gishi, do the Ranago with Sataha, Nan Lake on the southern side, Kodotas da Ejo, and they shut the assets and they assets Anna in Lego. But if you move back toward Farmington, that's the center place of the emergent is somewhere around the Neta area, and this if you stand there and look all four directions, the whole mountain will appear in all four directions. But we as a southern Navajo people out here on Winslow and Flagstaff area, we're way out of the border. So we I guess we migrated more further than everybody else. So that's why we tend to see the southern mountain on the east side. So that explains it. I always wonder at first. So that's when I asked this when how I learned that's why it's happening. So everything is being settled: the moon, the stars, the sun, the season, and then also the mountains. And things are starting to fall back in place in at this level. And I guess many thousand years went by, and things are okay. These are the way things are happening. And at the same time, remember these females, they were pregnant from the yellow world. And they started having these babies around this area. I don't know where, but there's certain areas on the Navajo reservation that they say that some of these monsters were born. الجناز لاحقي دارسو الشيخات عصيدو شتخت شبيلو الجدال ياغو أكو خدئية إيه ناية دهدزلي ناية دهش إيه دو شيباهن نداو ونن إنه شي ساني جو إيه داشي I'm not tearing any female or gendered people down, but Judi da hot in even nashi adi that in even na etiche edo bedo nila do bekena do nila even na edo just in edo be has other jo even na these things happen that time. Ako honest ako sani that nil sa dental sanenda ishin lego den engo le shachashit ishi ya yadan zan da tsakhanshit adon chong over ikon da hashingo le tsatas khalego yada o da is agent la le go yashin ben da no nel dan zon la in le tsata dan mazazin tlahne dan de des adon le la in de adol on chong keda hat and what ada or open that no nela no shin da has just no ba da chilne a question a dding ekunda. Remember, we're talking spirit people, not human being yet. The that has on it and next Kodi aden da isen bikyahu kodi bel beyika. Ita da hot ineshi kot an da haschen ko. Le sa tsek is go ya da has da shin leo ya da away da has da shin itan me ya. Satin etan long shin ke da ton hanjit an da krewe. Ichu ita ben sanjin hand shin da Yego Batahachengo, Ades Lago Nishe, but Andaha Shido, Kishi Eketa Atligo, Adam the Epic Benet de Jot Andahas Chon, Yot E that or the Chibin, what Sena Mosita, Yedas Linka da hat sich krasse da wir del geht da ja na ye gani ye it so da ja da has chance da do les ko shi ben ye ko shi da ja ko de betlat he de lo no da de trache bi on adol de dan chon ye so da na bi jo khot ye ben ye trache ko ba na han ne git one begin balia kun begin balia do be has ani ben ye ya gishi dig de kot abe chon ido ben ye akod o ye je khache ba han di o ha ye chen fast hui is na da at khasi dan den o ye be na ha do ba han be ba ta ho ko o shade o haston no shit bahosan go dir khatche kholi hegi it's that old abin di khagan da dolish khaganjil ito khatche the natural lego ito khatche akebe khogan da dolish khala khonal yesh anal yesh ito na ye ko khachasa also ko ege belkichinan do khalchin do khatso kyan le kedo hagan has I ha kontel tli hachinya ha troselage e bichana ye trache e khwe halon e ko gat ade e quagi fastfood al china da e qua do tsaha ne ko e quagi da e beshel a da e abashne leko e den lenigi e nek kon kin shna jona bo ina de shilin so khache tsa tsajili awajili kedo jot a chana e be hosel daron da adol etan chongi be ba hope jot a yabada hachil ne ko o yije chon edi elkita shi got a inna tahallone ta qatan shi da hoti elkita an abel kida hijil ego da konde ben ye tache nada del jato konne kahel to basis to gida ya da chicha be khata hastel don adoshin da bi don da ita hasta ba lego in abel kida hajil ego itashin in da hazone da jota sa don na da khata ko sai na da kha na na sa itas na ko da li del da da ba so da ba jo e pot an a khodo trache in khaben khan di ade a khochet a do kha di yan so ta it an legit an ho se trache bi yo ya na ho ti ade il tro a na be ko da do ze da khan al bi do kha ada dil khan na no da a je bas la ko shi che ya chen ni de di trache it's do ba hat it's the chunda ya bige chun essentially a kode nesai gal de ya is sa koje ko a han tenselin de what is do shalin de go khat ashin ni da do ni da na do bi guys khado a kan de na se do ja adot do da go de khat ade a han da ana what de o just di shalin a shli shal is kan na de bilja Chininde what Ashi Olia Trache is so unique. Trache is the sweat house that we have is very, very unique. It's very special and very sacred to us as Navajo people. A lot of people don't know that. And a lot of people don't understand when I say Trache, it's one of the priority, one of the most important thing that you're supposed to build if you're a man, if you're a family man, if you build your home, you got to have this sweat house on the north side of your perimeter or your home that protects you from a lot of things. There's a lot of stories and song and prayers that goes through there, and that keeps you from a lot of negative energy, a lot of negative stuff that's happening in your life, and keeps you going. And I always tell people when they're getting married or in the Navajo way, when they ask me to speak there, I always tell them, don't forget, the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna make a trache, a sweat house. We don't call it sweat lodge because it's not a lodge, it's like a house. And that's the first priority that you're gonna have is a trache. As long as you have a trache, nothing will penetrate that to your life and your home and stuff like that, because that's your protector. And then the story goes, my chain always talks about it. He says a long time ago when they used to battle against other tribes or other enemies, the federal government or the Mexicans, you know, they have to battle against them, and they go there and they do prayer and songs, and they put armored stuff on it in a way like a armored outfit, and that's how they go to war, and they go on a war path or go on whatever they need to do or go hunting when they do that. And then when they're coming back, some of them will be wounded or some of them will be mentally ill, and that's why you cannot come straight back to your home. You have to go through that same reverse reverse everything at the sweat lodge, and then you can come back to your home. And that's how sweat lodge is very important in our life. And just to add to that, there is a particular ceremonies for our veterans when they go to cross the sea, when they commit themselves to military. This is how it should be done, but a lot of our veterans are never had that ceremony done, or uh, even make it worse is when they return, they never reverse all that on them, and they still have that armor on. They still have their mind and soul, their spirit is still there, and that's why they're having a hard time living their life again, because they're still at war. Because still they have that armor still on, so they need to reverse all that and come back in. And there's another story that I tell about that too. So that's how important is a sweat lodge, and things were starting to settle at the sweat lodge here and there. So a woman's sweat lodge on the south side, it's structured the same way. It's just the rocks are supposed to be on the south side. The male sweat lodge is on the north side, but the rock sits on the north side. That's how I was told that that's how. So, but nowadays, it's either because of laziness, because we can't do it, because of shortcuts, and we only have one sweat lodge in our home. At least we have one. I have one at my house on the north side of my home, and we both use it. The female and male uses them whenever they need it. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. The Queen million thousands, I don't know how many years later they decided, well, what are we going to live in? What are we going to live in? And we only have a sweat lodge. And that's when they decided that, remember the home, we got these mountains out there. That's our home. Why don't we structure a home according to that? And this is when the first Hokan was built. And put the Shivan Nahas in the Kushin Nana Havashi Haishipi than Iran the one beach Yan indoor the Chuebik Echo di Kododana de one but Adi Nana Lia next session about our home the one Sani but Adi, because the fire is inside. That's the difference. Now, aji be chat or kanji do be hot either. Alina ye kihosanina kuji be foot. Even there's two different types, and they're both structured almost the same, but it's just the name that's different. And a lot of people miscommit reception that, or explain that they think the male Hokan's the one with this thing in the front, and that's another story to that. And that was just a survival skill that a lot of Anelvo added to that. But in songs and prayers and ceremonies, there is a difference between male and female Hokan. The male is the sweat lodge. Female is the real home. John Zilin hier rand ni ran kawa hin el eben khagon bikha dor ni khodo ni ishinan go khodo ya ho ba adi ba han ji aji ben kisna shne doli ako aji ni sa na o kitla ko ishi next year at shin da Banashne the Hokan, Ehawan, Hoabi, not Ahobi, the Hoabi, the Tedo one. The Nahan or this. Around the wash the Nadad or that Hashin Zahanadi, not only your size change or what it not yet has lead or what it touch the azon and the march hashing but ela ko here that she's not say in hin khan that do e shishan ela not so the nano lenin ash modern khalchene. Teach your kids these stories. It's very important that they learn, even though maybe I'm telling it wrong, but at least I'm telling something and try and revive these stories. And I do this for our whole family and my whole family at Gelato area on Christmas, after Christmas Day, after 26th on that. I try and get all the kids together and tell them these stories in a whole and show them something that I appreciate and that they're here. So potato like I said, I think this is a recording. If you have any questions regarding this session, you can text or write a letter or put it in the text box there, and then we'll take it from there. Do have Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, do Jonoshin and here the Dochato Jishin Kishmish and John the Bashi. John Dakarole. I'm gonna